Good afternoon. It's Sunday afternoon, January 5th, 2024. You're listening to Weather with Enthusiasm. This is your weather enthusiast, Simcha Lefton, podcaster, bringing you the latest winter storm development for this afternoon. A major winter storm developing across the deserts. Well, I would say major winter storm developing across the southern high plains this afternoon is currently riding along the Missouri and Arkansas border, bringing 8 to 12 inches, even some areas with higher amounts across portions of Kansas and Missouri. And this heavy snowfall accumulation continues into Illinois and is forecasted to occur in portions to the east as well. States to the east as well, across southern Indiana, central, and also in Ohio. And then the storm moves off into the mid-Atlantic area, bringing 5 to 10 inches across Baltimore and Washington D.C. Here's some remarkable parts about this storm. So the storm of 29.6, that's the barometric pressure, does not accurately reflect the intensity of what's going on right now. We have thundersnow occurring across portions of Kansas and Missouri. Numerous reports of lightning strikes being reported all over the place tells us numerous forecast offices of the National Weather Service. Thundersnow is a phenomenon which occurs when relatively significantly warmer, moist air shoots up into the atmosphere. This produces the thundersnow, and it is not really so common, especially in a state like Kansas. In fact, in Kansas City, this is the largest snowstorm since the 1960s. They have not seen a foot of snow for a really long time. So this is the largest snowstorm in a really long time. In a certain way, it is historical for portions of the Kansas City metro area. It is uncommon to see thunder snow in that part of the country. We see it more often in the Rockies, the mountains, portions in Colorado, also lake effect and ocean effect snow. We also see thunder snow, and we do hear about it in the Midwest as well. Portions more common in the upper Midwest, Iowa, but people in Kansas City, the report that some people have never experienced it yet. So this is a first time for many people, and many people are very excited about this. The storm is 29.6. One would think that a storm like this would be 29.2 or even stronger, but it isn't. The Amarillo, Texas National Weather Service tells us that this storm is taking on a negative tilt at the moment as it moves to the east, northeast, but primarily east, actually. And usually the stronger storms actually have more of a northward bend to it. And we're going to just speak about something which is also really interesting that's going to be happening because of the position of the storm happening over the Chicago area, which is really exciting for those snow lovers here in the Chicago area. So the storm misses the Chicago area. There seems to be no question about it. You never know with snowstorms, however, because the computer models are less accurate forecasting snowfall totals than other weather phenomena. It's kind of similar to thunderstorms, but nonetheless, the models have consistently for the past several days been bringing basically the entire storm pretty much to the south of Chicago. The southern suburbs could get a little bit from the storm, but that's about it. It was a different story a week ago, but for the past several days, that's been the story. But here's the thing. The models that have been for the past several days, we took a break from this yesterday, but we're back to where we were a few days ago. The northeast winds, northerly to northeast winds developing over Lake Michigan shows that a lake effect snow band will develop tonight and especially tomorrow morning, but it is not clear where, or the intensity is not clear either, tells us the National Weather Service. However, if you look on the high resolution models, you'll see that areas which get hit with this heavy lake effect snow band could be seeing more than 7 inches of snow. And you will also see models setting up the portions of Chicago right along the southern portions of the lake at 4.5 inches of snow. So the question is, where is the snow band going to set itself up? Will it position itself in such a way that it will be the southern portions of the Chicago metro area, which is probably a little bit of a combination between the lake effect snow and probably some moisture from the storm system moving down to the south. And then southeast Wisconsin is the area currently favored, according to the models, currently favored to be receiving more than 7 inches of snow. You see a swath of 3 to 7 inches, even 7.5 and 7.6 inches over in southeast Wisconsin, but that could change. The main idea, however, is that portions along Lake Michigan, especially in Illinois and Wisconsin, southeast Wisconsin and northeast Illinois, could be seeing somewhere between 3 to 7 inches. And if you want to include all snowfall totals, you could even push that up to 3 to 8 inches in the heaviest hit areas. So this is a significant lake effect snow event that could be setting itself up over in the Chicago area, areas to the north, and even a little bit in the southern portions of the Chicago area. Either way, the southern portions could be hit with a little bit of accumulating snow from the storm system that passes to the south. Storm system remains at about 29.6 as it moves to the east coast, and then it basically merges together with a powerhouse storm of 28.8 over the Atlantic Ocean. Very intense stuff. And as we mentioned, it brings its heaviest snow to cities which are relatively further south, including Baltimore. It's not a nor'easter, but Baltimore's getting hit nonetheless. It's not an Alberta Clipper. It's not a nor'easter. It's a southern stream storm, which will be hitting Baltimore and even areas to the south. Washington D.C. could be getting even more. The rest of this week, Arctic air. We have a Clipper system moving in about midweek, and a little bit of a stronger system than a Clipper system moves through the Midwest in the latter part of the week, which could have a little bit more moisture than the traditional Clipper systems, which is a moisture-starved system. Nonetheless, the forcing has an intensity in Clippers to produce snowfall, even though it's a moisture-starved system. The wording that the National Weather Service uses for the end week storm is that picking up moisture from the southern plains. The word Gulf of Mexico doesn't appear in their forecast discussion regarding that storm. Though we have blizzard warnings, winter storm warnings in effect for the middle part of the country, here's something to keep in mind. The Washington Post reports that a half an inch of ice is what's necessary in order to produce power outages. A half an inch of ice is what accumulates on the power lines. When that happens, you have power outages. Portions of the eastern Ozarks could be getting a half an inch of ice. Cape Girardeau, Missouri could be getting that. But here's another thing to keep in mind. Freezing rain, the freezing rain that's occurring, freezing rain is most efficient at accumulating when it's falling as a freezing drizzle, which actually happens pretty often, or a mist. It freezes on contact. When the precipitation falls at heavier rates, it actually doesn't freeze. The Washington Post tells us that only a third of that freezes into ice, and that's due to heat that gets released when the raindrops form that prevents the freezing, so they just kind of run off, and then you have a third of that, which would be freezing. QPF amounts about 0.8 of an inch of precipitation, 0.8 of an inch of water equivalent. So you get a third of that. A third of that still brings you to a 1/4 inch of ice or more, which is enough for a winter storm warning. And the power outages, you could still get some areas of a half an inch of ice. We do have snow mixed in with the ice for many locations. Kansas City, Missouri National Weather Service tells us that the snowfall ratios, the snow to water ratios, will be approaching 20-1, anywhere from 15-1 to 20-1 as we go through the afternoon. They also tell us that the pressure gradient is becoming really intense as the storm develops. But the Amarillo, Texas National Weather Service clarifies that to mean as the Arctic air comes into the system, the winds are really picking up. The pressure gradient is increasing due to the very cold air that's moving into the system. That is producing really strong wind gusts, well into the 40-mile-per-hour range, even close to 50 in some areas. Therefore, the Kansas City National Weather Service has issued a blizzard warning. Blizzard warnings are now in effect for portions of Kansas and Missouri, and winter storm warnings are in effect across the country. The Washington Post also tells us that this storm is traveling 1,500 miles across the country as we go through into the mid-Atlantic area. So, intense stuff happening. The Chicago area remains in question. That's an important thing to point out because lake effect snow is very difficult to forecast. But nonetheless, it does seem likely that a band of heavy lake effect snow could set itself up over portions of the Chicago area. Thank you for listening. I wish everybody a wonderful day. Have a wonderful week and stay safe.